Let's problem solve today. After building this large storage system and all the other farms around the world, it's pretty clear to me that I've used 99% of my iron and I don't have a lot left in the storage to continue building with. My current iron farm is a day 0 ENX04 thing, and while it's worked so far, it's struggling to keep up with me and I often have to wait for iron to continue projects. It produces around 350 ingots per hour. About a year ago, a technical player named Nico Is Lost created a high efficiency, pretty easy to build and high capacity expandable iron farm, and this can produce a lot more iron than the 350 I'm currently getting. In fact, today my plan is to build a version that produces over 8,000 iron per hour, or over 20 times faster than the one I currently have. And then by chunk loading it, it will always run and I'll have more iron than I know what to do with. So let's build that. I found a village along the shoreline which seemed like a nice, safe place to build this. It's away from most of my stuff and near my stronghold, so I do come over this way, but not every day. I needed to start with a villager breeder, and you already know I love Logical Geek Boy's simple breeder as it produces its own food and keeps the villies coming. The issue I have with this is that in the end it's not quite fast enough, only producing at max 2 villagers per day. Getting villagers out of this farm is very easy though, so that's a positive. For this farm I'm going to need 60 villagers. If I only use this one breeder, it would take 30 in-game days, and that's a bit too much, so we'll speed the process along later when I'm closer to finishing the farm. Moving villagers into the breeder is fairly simple. They're going to chase beds at night until I walk them all the way over to the farm. Villagers can be a pain, but I just never really find moving them all that difficult. Once both villagers are in the farm and sleeping, I can break their beds and get myself back out of here. I forgot a trapdoor here, so they couldn't breed, but once that was fixed, we were in the baby making business. This iron farm is a 2-dimension portal-based setup where 2 zombies per layer scare 4 pods of villagers per layer. There are 12 villagers per layer, and I'll need 5 layers total. And yes, that's a lot of saying the word layer. The portals are always above the villagers and zombies, so I'll move both into place by dropping them into their spots above the platform. So as you can see, most of the build is done, but the villagers, well, I definitely don't have 60. I'm going to need to drop a second villager breeder or wait a lot longer. I decided to build the Zinji builder, which is the same one I've done on my Mushroom Island so I can move villies around the world. This builder is the simplest one I know, but it requires me to provide the food myself. After a quick trip to the nano crop farm though, that was easily done. This thing gives me up to 50,000 carrots per hour, and I'll never use that many. With that breeder done and the villagers in, all I have to do now is drop them a ton of food and it'll work. It didn't work. Okay, I'm super duper smart. I put 4 villagers in the breeder, not 2. I put 4 beds down and my brain was turned off, so, you know, it's fine. I just had to axe 2 of them to leave, and they left. That was such a dumb joke. Let's leave it in. Now the breeder's perfect and I can leave this while I finish the farm. And while they do, I'm going to build the rail line to get the villagers from the breeders into their respective levels. I thought about the ways to do this, and the easiest for me was simply to wrap a line of rail all the way around the entire farm, with little drop-off points on each layer. The nether side of the iron farm is where we kill the golems and collect their iron ingots. They fall out of the portal into the lava below, die, and the drops are then pushed by slime over the collection and into shulkers. The poppies get composted into a chest as bone meal. The last thing I need to do is add a chicken into each of the boats. These will help push the golems out of the portal. Future Red here. The boats weren't quite perfectly aligned, so it only helps about 70% of the time, but it does work. I only have 3 eggs for now, so we'll try and get 2 chickens. Okay, that's one. Let's push him in before he falls off the edge. Very carefully jump across, and in the boat you go. Unfortunately, my last egg was a dud. I collected a bunch more eggs to finish the last boat off, first around the iron farm, and then even from the small bunch of chickens I have left at home. 7 should be plenty.
Hello Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Turns out 7 was not plenty. Good news, we're getting plenty of villagers out of the 2 breeders now. There are 3 babies growing up in the logical breeder, another bunch of villagers pushing around each other in the Zinji. It's working out. The plan with the villagers is to minecart them up, 4 per level per trip, and then place beds with the pillow over the hole that I want them to fall into. Break the minecarts after sunset, let them sleep, break the beds, and they fall straight in. I'll show you how that works with these 3. As I break the beds, they'll go right into the beds. This one's a little off, so I had to reset him. He got knocked. Then after the reset, you can see it's going to work flawlessly. And then it's just a matter of repeating this and getting all 60 villagers into place, 4 at a time. We only had a few workplace incidents, like this guy. Moving 60 villagers isn't fun or entertainment, but I know some of you want to make sure I actually move them, so here's a few. I bet if you say, "Hey Mr. Editor Guy, can we get a rhythm edit here?" he may show you more of them. Yes, please. In hindsight, this baby being in a boat with another villager is my fault. So was this. Aw, that was sad. Anyway, while recording this video, one of my friends was talking about how he found a zombie spawner, and if I could find one, I could easily move zombies into the farm. I thought that was a rather clever idea, so I made an effort. I checked a few nearby caves, listened for the sound of zombies. It's not easy to find a random spawner that you want, but this biggish cave was a good place to look. I found a lot of diamonds, and eventually, this zombie spawner. I secured the room and then devised a plan. If I can use a bubble column to shoot the zombies to the surface, I can possibly move more than one at a time. So my plan was to stand on one side of the bubbles, let the zombies walk toward me, get drawn up in the water, and shot away. Then I can fly back to the surface, collect them, and then at night drop them into boats below the iron farm so they don't burn up, and then I can move them as I want to. I can also easily name tag them this way. What happens here confused me so much at first. I was filling the top of the bubble column with water and going for another bucket. Tell me when you see it. Keep in mind I'm finishing this build with the mob switch activated. Hostile mobs can't spawn. Why are there 5, 6, 8, okay 9 zombies in the water with me? By the time I ran away, they'd converted to drowns and a few were still on land. Do you know how hostile mobs can spawn with a mob switch activated? Hold on, I'll explain. I still had zombies on land, so I decided to get them into boats quickly. Some start is better than no start, right? Putting them under the farm will keep them from burning, and now I can just take this other one up with me. What you'll see here will explain what was going on. I got this guy in without any trouble, and that was super easy and misled me into thinking they'd all be this easy. These little corridors I made to walk them in worked very well though. All of a sudden I had a lot more company. 3 golems spawned before I even got off the stairs. And you see my second zombie? He did not survive them. While I go back to the spawner and get more zombies up to the surface, let me explain. The villagers are now in and have beds. They're forming a village, which is what lets the iron farm work. The zombies appeared as a result of a zombie horde, which is a special in-game event that we rarely see, and when we do, we often forget it's this special event because there's other zombies, skeletons, and creepers that are all out on the same night, so it just looks like a few extra zombies. However, I have the mob switch on, so the only thing that can spawn near my villagers were zombies and iron golems. So I ended up with a horde and 3 golems. With the zombie spawner and trap ready, all I have to do is break this light and get myself safe. The zombie will pathfind to me through the water and zoop, just like that he's gone. You like that noise? Zoop. You'll see that I'm always ready to place a block at my feet even if he doesn't go up and instead makes it through the water. I play safely even if there's almost no real danger. The zombie's not going to kill me. But he does go up and so does his friend here. I made a safe place to land so I could just fall straight back down here and then I flew out. I have to ride the bubble column and unfortunately it was no longer rainy nor nighttime. So both of the ones I just captured, wet poof. The spawner is a great backup idea, but I got sick of its speed, so I turned the mob switch off, and like a good hardcore player, I got to work. A A few more iron golems spawn and I realize they're mad at me when I shoot them. I can't have a rogue iron golem in my world, so I decided the smartest solution was to spawn in 4 iron golems on purpose. I can lead them, attach them to a fence, and more importantly, if I punch one, a summoned golem won't attack me. And the villagers will stop summoning golems that can kill me and the zombies, and we can keep working. Ironically, at this point, I needed more iron for minecarts and other bits of the farm, so I had to go back to the old iron farm and empty it out one last time. The iron farm is nearly done, and now I need to chunk load it so it's always running. I'm going to chunk load from above the farm in both the overworld and nether so the portals don't link to the ones that are inside the farm. Also, yes, I'm mining obsidian again. I hereby make a solemn vow. We're building an obsidian farm next episode,
or I'm jumping into lava and ending the series.
Now you know it's serious. Well, I have to suffer through this, but you don't. That's the chunk loader done. As long as this cart is going back and forth between the nether and overworld, iron is now coming in at over 8,000 ingots per hour. So much for our iron problem. This kill chamber has anywhere from 1 to 10 golems in it all the time. I AFK'd for a little while to get almost 3 shulkers of iron. I cleaned out this one at the same time, so let's see the comparison. It's under 5 stacks. Yeah, we've upgraded the iron farm finally. So for the rest of this episode, we're going to work on the layout and infrastructure for the city that I'm building at spawn. I want to start adding a bit of lore to this world, and today's the real start of that. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing. It really does help and allows me to keep building and playing this world. We're going to build the outline of where roads will go, put in an entrance gate to the city, and tear down the villages. The first thing I want to do is tear down the old iron farm. Goodbye, Mr. Zombie. I can't take the bee farm out yet, but that's the iron farm gone. This village will be torn down to replace with a residential area, and I want to build with all custom homes. That won't be today, but it's definitely getting closer than it's ever been. The other village will also be torn down today so we can build the rest of the city proper. If you remember the zombie horde from earlier, this is where I figured it out. I had a couple villagers running around from all this tearing down of their homes and stuff, and I turned around to see this. I'm really glad you guys respect my mob switch. Thanks. I love you guys. Let's keep tearing stuff down. And that's both cities torn down. You'll see that I left the church though. This was my very first home in the world, and even though I moved out fairly quickly, I plan to leave this as a reminder of the old city and a bit of a relic of the past. The church will always be here. So once the clearing was done, I started filling in the water around the old village. This guideline is kind of where I want the land to be. Most of the river and the lake near the hub can remain, but all this needs to be filled in and then I can outline the roads. I've started adding in where the 4 main roads will go. This road will lead up to the guild buildings like the blacksmiths and weaponsmiths. I'm going to extend this further up the hill so we have plenty of room for 8, 10, even 15 main buildings here. This angle is better to see it on. It'll curve up here, over the hillside, and up toward the cherry blossoms. At that point it becomes more of a dirt path, and who knows what's beyond that. The next main road is the one running from the hub over to the village trading hall. This one will have side roads running to the statue and the new sun temple on the hill. This is a good time to take a look at the overall picture here. I've never really explained everything I want to do at once, so if you're watching this one, you get something new. Around here is the frame for the city as I see it. Everything will eventually be built into this photo from the city entrance around this river opening to a dock along the river. On the sides of that will be a military training area, as well as a residential district back here near where the iron farm used to be. A large arena will be opposite the military area with its training grounds and barracks. I'm going to put a really cool build back in this space, but I'm not ready to spoil that one yet. I can imagine a large wall around the city, hanging bridges in a few places, and a large separation between the residents and the city itself, almost as if they don't belong there. Yeah, I have tons of plans for this. Let's get back to making them a reality. Let's get into the lore I mentioned earlier. My idea of the city is that it was a thriving but divided city with a rundown, almost rustic residential zone, and a built-up, affluent, and very glamorous city. The guilds, religious temples, and trading halls are incredible structures, massive, almost works of art. However, a large stone wall and gates kept out the commoners from entering the city most of the time. On special occasions, those in charge would allow them into the city to see it in its glory and show it off. However, the city fell into disrepair, and we've moved in to bring it back to life. Unlike the old regime, I want everyone to feel welcome at all times, so I have the gate permanently open now. The walls have been mostly knocked down except for the protective outer wall for the entire city, and the residents are free to come and go. The entrance is now a welcoming and inviting gateway to the greater parts of the city. Let's build this up so I can show you what I envision. This is the general feeling that I want now. When someone enters the gate, the city unfolds ahead of them, from the trading hall to the relaxing Buddha statue island and the sun temple overlooking it all. Obviously, as more is built, it'll create an even more inviting look on our first entry. And you can see the inner wall has collapsed into the river as times have changed. Well, that's all for today. I love the new iron farm, the gate, and the plans, and hope you do too. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!